Good morning, saints, snitches, and the rest of y'all still. Good morning, saints, snitches, and the rest of y'all still lying in the group chat. Welcome to Morning Tea and Allegations, where the devil gets no mic and the truth gets the final say. Just to get some. Hey, hey! She don't run on rumors, she run on receipts. Sanctified shade with the screenshots to preach. This ain't just gospel, it's gospel flow. She prays, she claps back and lets the spirit go. Bible in one hand, the docs in the other. She speaks with fire, can't silence the truth. Hosted by Bianca, the snitch with a mission. Calling it out, cause our children deserve better. Morning Tea and Allegations, pouring truth with no hesitation. Accountability in rotation. This is gospel education. Transparency is our foundation. Integrity leads the conversation. No rumor, no speculation. Just facts, receipts, and revelation. Morning Tea and Allegations, where faith walks bold through shady temptation. No fake tongues, no false relations. Just truth, conviction, and conversation. Morning Tea and Allegations. Snitches on the airwaves. Known again, yeah. Allegations. Snitches on the airwaves. Morning Tea and Allegations. Snitches on the airwaves.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. I'm late.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
So a couple of things. The fire alarm was going off and it was a lot. Thankfully, we weren't impacted and all of that, but oh my goodness, it has been a journey. It has been a journey, and I'm so glad that you're here. Okay. I am so thankful that you are tuning in to episode 17 of Morning Tea and Allegations. My name is Bianca Goolsby, Petty B, all the things that people been calling me lately and recently, but I am here to tell the truth. Okay. All right. Like I always say, don't be mad at me, be mad at the receipts, because why? People lie, receipts don't. We have a action packed show today. Before we get into the docket, we'll go ahead and get started with the church announcements, okay? So, a couple things I want to let y'all know. So, there was an error when I was scheduling Morning Tea and Allegations today. And I have to use multiple devices to see y'all communicating. So, for those of you that are here watching live, please say hey, please join. Please have the conversation in the comments. Join me on Facebook where we're streaming, YouTube where we're streaming, and for the replay ministry, this is going to be uploaded on the podcast player, so you could go check us out there, or the replay ministry. You might catch this later, particularly because I was late. Whoo, chow. Okay. If you want the behind the scenes of how I build these episodes and previews of what's on the docket, and you want a secure place to send me receipts, then you're going to have to join me on Patreon. Patreon is where I send the equalizers a preview of today's topic, so they already know what I'm going to be talking about in some shape or fashion. And that means that I'm telling you, if you want deeper access, you're going to have to catch me on Patreon. I'm not fighting with these algorithms. I've already said that. And I'm just saying Patreon is where it's at. So join me. And you can also join for free. There's 3 tiers in there. So just join and support the work. I appreciate you and thank you. Okay. And while I'm at it, we need to have a very serious conversation as it relates to voting registration status because there's a lot that is going on. Okay.
Oh, hell no.
Y'all, more than ever, we need to be very intentional with our voting registration status, knowing if you are still on the list. Do not wait until the election is breathing down your neck to figure out that your information is wrong. Please do your due diligence in making sure that if your address is outdated, that you fix it, that if you need to update your signature so that it matches to how you sign things now, that you do that, that you have all the information so that you know how to make your voice heard because that's important. Very, very important. So please, please be intentional with your voting registration status because your vote matters. And these conversations as it relates to education and policy and politics matter because our children deserve better. And speaking of children, because school is out in many places, I want to say it very clearly. Children are out of school, but that does not mean that children are out of danger. Children are out of need, or children that we have a responsibility to our children. We have children that still need things. We have children that is still in danger. So while school is out, I'm asking that we all be intentional with our children because there's a lot of conversations with adults fighting, but I'm going to always ask, how are the children? And what's important in this episode before I go into the disclaimers and all of that is last week's episode, I said, go to the source. Okay. Go to the source. Let me get my sound effect for that because I need y'all to hear. Okay. I need you to hear me very clearly when I say go to the source because people lie, receipts don't. So today's episode, I want you to apply what we talked about last week. Okay. So we need to go to the source. We need to ask for the receipt and we need to read the fine print. We will all be better together if we read the fine print. So the fine print is where the money moves. The fine print is where accountability can disappear if we're not aware and intentional. And when it comes to education, one of the most important things in life, by the way, the profession that makes other professions possible, learning and teaching, the fine print is usually where children and families and educators get handed the burden after politicians finish clapping for themselves. And let's be very clear, it's not all politicians. We have some amazing public servants. But this morning, I'm sharing receipts with you, and I'm here to remind you to go to the source and read the fine print. Because why? People lie, receipts don't. Let's go ahead and play these disclaimers so that we can be all clear as it relates to the rules and how things work around here. So please govern yourselves accordingly to these disclaimers. Thank you, church members, as we have additional announcements and disclaimers that require your full attention. I am a certified snitch and whistleblower that reports on what is happening in our community. Like I always say, people lie, receipts don't. With that stated, the content used in this programming is protected under fair use. In addition, the views and opinions on this programming belong to me. I hold myself accountable and prioritize accuracy and truthfulness in my communications. So unless you have receipts, don't start with me. God is still working on me. I love the block button to protect my peace, and I desire to snitch on everybody, including me. Thank you for your attention and govern yourselves accordingly. Amen. Okay. All right. Now, the background check, if you don't know, is Amazing Snitch, and you can listen to that on my album, Grace and Receipts. And that is by Petty B and the Sounds of Snitching SOS Choir. Yes, indeed. I am very, very excited for y'all to hear the different projects that I got going on. And yeah, I'm very happy with that song. Yeah. Let me do a sound effect for that. I need that. Where is it at? Uh-oh. Hold on. I gotta pull it from somewhere else. Hold on. The devil busy. Whoo, child. Let's see. Let me get these sound effects going on here. This way. Because what is happening here? Yes. Yes, God.
I'm ready to be petty today. Hallelujah.
Okay. Amen. Couple things that we need to discuss on this docket. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that we could go ahead and get to it because woo child. Wow. I don't know if y'all are seeing the things that are happening, but it's a wild place. And again, it's very, very important that when we're having these discussions and we're seeing these headlines, that we also get to the fine print because the fine print is very, very important outside of going to the source. Okay. So there is a $250 bill that will apparently have Trump's face on it. So let's start in Washington with a story that got everybody talking because I'm just trying to figure out why the Treasury Department and the White House are pushing for this brand new $250 bill that would feature President Trump's portrait. Now, there's a catch though. There's a catch in the fine print. Okay. Congress would have to overturn a law, 1866, a federal law that strictly prohibits any living person from appearing on U.S. currency. And we have featured here the Treasury Secretary Scott. And he says that they are laying the groundwork just in case this legislation passes. I put the receipt here of the law, right? Because it is a thing, but you wouldn't see this law if you wasn't digging into the fine print. If you didn't know about the law or to do research to know about the law, you would be like, okay, so we're going to celebrate 250 years of this country being quote unquote great and all of that. And cool, put them on a bill, I guess, but there are laws against that. And this is why we have to go to the fine print because it's so much more. I want to play this clip for you just so that you can hear all the things that are happening with this and why you should know about it, because apparently people don't like to follow rules around here. And what are rules? What are laws? I don't know. A sitting president with over 30 felonies. I don't know. Let me play the clip.
So this year is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. There's going to be a lot of celebrations across the country, and I assure you, I'm going to talk about many of them another time because there's definitely a lot to say. But right now, I want to tell you about something that some people in the administration think might be a good idea. Getting Donald Trump out there for all of us to see. And I don't just mean out there, I mean in there, in your wallets, in our hands, all over the place. Actually putting his face on a new $250 bill. Well, the Washington Post is reporting that when the head of the federal agency that was in charge of printing up our money, when she pushed back, guess what happened? She was reassigned to a new job. In a goodbye email, she told her former coworkers, the buck stopped here. Well, here's the deal. Under current laws, only a deceased individual can be featured on U.S. currency. But this is the same administration that is also pushing for a $1 coin and a commemorative gold coin with Trump's face on it to commemorate the 250 years. And as for the $250 bill itself, one of the many reasons we don't have high denomination bills like this in this country, you might not know, I didn't, it's because they make life easier for tax evaders, drug dealers, and terrorists. But suddenly now we're saying it's a good idea? I don't know. I'm not sure it is. And I thought you should know.
Mm-hmm. So as we're having these conversations, I just want to bring to the forefront that when we see these headlines, it's important to go to the fine print. and to see the things. And I just wanted to use an example that's happening federally, but I do want to concentrate on what's happening in the state of Florida because, again, I advocate in the state of Florida. I have people that I love in the state of Florida. And just because a headline says one thing, the law says another. And if you read the headline and you miss the part where reality has rules, and not only that, but I don't know if you saw, and I gotta again pull the receipts and read it with intention, but the president just released his medical report late last night, which caused more questions than answers. And while all of this is happening, don't forget, y'all, that we are at war, and not just from the outside, but the inside too. So while all of this is happening, we have a president that is using the Department of Justice to retaliate against his critics and people that hold him accountable. So I'm just bringing awareness to this situation because, again, we see headlines about this bill with his face on it, but then there's not a lot of conversations as it relates to a law that was in place since 1866. And are we just changing these laws just because? And if that's the case, then we need to do some more things just because our children deserve better. And that leads me to the conversation regarding the Florida's budget. Okay. So the Florida budget, it passed. Oh my goodness. Now let me find the sound effect of the applause because my goodness, we got it. Okay. Now, of course, this is after delays and closed door negotiations and special session drama, but we got a Florida budget that was passed. WCTV reported that the final deal included more than 1.1 billion. Listen good. 1.1 billion in education capital and almost $500 million for projects at Florida universities. And I don't know if y'all been paying attention to the politics as it relates to higher education, but it's important to pay attention and to buckle up because I mean,
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
y'all see what's happening outside in these classrooms, at these schools, these president searches. Huh? Y'all see it? And meanwhile, while all of this is happening, I want to continue to uplift that teacher pay is still 50th in the nation. Again, it is 50th in the nation. So it's quite interesting the conversations that people were having about the budget after it was late, after they negotiated behind closed doors, and then sold it back to the public saying, hey, we increasing things for education and infrastructure and all of that. And I just hope that y'all pay attention to who is going to be left behind in this budget, because again, it wasn't a very transparent process. And I shared a clip last week of different state leaders talking about it. So I want to share a new clip though. Okay. So come on with me. Let me go ahead and click over here so we could watch this together, because after months of overtime trying to do this budget, we still have questions as to how we're going to make Florida affordable. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing the gas prices. I'm seeing the taxes. And as a result, people are asking for property tax relief, but we're going to get there because the question is, who is expected to carry the cost of that? Okay, but come on, let's go ahead and watch this video together talking about the aftermath of the budget, because y'all need to know, and y'all need to know the people who are voting and making decisions for you, the people. Roll the clip.
Well, it took more than 2.5 months of extra work, but lawmakers this afternoon finished up the state's next spending plan. The budget sits at $114.5 billion, but does it do enough to help Floridians? Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders takes a deeper look.
Typically, the end of a budget vote looks like this. But the ceremonial hanky drop was nowhere to be found Friday. Instead, lawmakers gavelled in.
36 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President.
So the bill passes.
Voted.
The House is adjourned, sine die.
And gavelled out, heading back home for a short break before tackling more work next week.
I'm so excited that we took the extra time because at the end of the day, a great budget was put out for Florida.
For the GOP supermajority, the new $114.5 billion budget was worth the wait.
I think it's just fair to call this budget a solution. Think about it this way. $117 billion 2 years ago, and that was a cut to a 115, and now we've cut to 14.5. So what we've delivered is a balanced budget, right, that continues to cut as Republicans promised.
It trims the overall spending for another year while bumping school funding, public safety, environmental projects, and offering some tax relief, including for casinos, hurricane home hardening, and even gun accessories.
Look, we should support Floridians' right to be able to defend and protect their homes. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We should be proud of that.
But this year's fight has been about more than the bottom line.
We've been here a long time, could have done better work than what we did.
Democrats and other critics argue it's not what's in the budget that's the problem, but what isn't.
One of the things you said you really wanted to see out of this budget was affordability measures. Did you?
No, and really my theme for this budget overall is that it's inadequate.
Members saying the big spending plan lacks help with medical expenses, affordable housing, and enough teacher pay, which on average has Florida among the worst in the country.
We have relief on taxes on silencers, taxes on weapons, taxes on all of the gun accessories. That is not what they asked for. They need relief from gas taxes, not gun taxes.
Dems vow to keep pushing for more affordability measures in the coming days.
Here's the tax and the budget for 25-26 in the state of Florida.
But all eyes now turn to Governor Ron DeSantis, who still needs to sign this thing. He'll likely spend the next few weeks shaving off additional spending with his line item veto pen before the July 1st deadline. At the Capitol, Forrest Saunders, Tampa Bay, 28.
Okay. Y'all see it? Okay. So the current status is that we're waiting on the governor. The governor has the ability to remove additional items with his pen, and we look forward to seeing this get across the finish line by the deadline so that we don't have a partial state shutdown. But as soon as you start following the money, the next question is, who is expected to carry the cost? Y'all, groceries are high. Gas is high. It is so expensive to live in the U.S. I have the opportunity to live in a different environment, and I live in South America, and I live in Santa Marta, Colombia. From healthcare to the infrastructures, it is a complete culture shock. You have to unlearn the propaganda that the U.S. has been providing people as it relates to the American dream and what that looks like. And I'm here to tell you, there's a profit in the problem, and that's why some of these things aren't fixed. And this is why we have to be intentional, because what is getting ready to happen starting Monday, everyone that owns a home and everyone that rents and everyone in the state of Florida need to pay attention, because there's conversations that are going to be had as it relates to property tax and providing property tax relief. But the problem with that is it is going to shake school funding. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen so that you can see the conversations that are currently happening as it relates to these upcoming conversations. The Florida Education Association has sounded the alarm and is currently sounding the alarm over the governor's property tax proposal. And frankly, everyone needs to be paying attention. So if you're watching and haven't said anything in the comments, say, hey, let me know that you're watching, whether you're watching live or on a replay, because all of this is important. Florida Phoenix reported that local funding accounts for 46%, y'all, 46% of Florida's education finance program statewide, meaning that the homestead property taxes alone account for $7.7 billion in school district property tax revenue. This is really important. Let me give you a breakdown. So some years ago, I was on this very same show. We was on a different season, and I was showing receipts as it relates to the mismanagement of the 7th largest school district in the nation, to the point that they had to get a loan until their property tax hit. Let me say this plainly. You have politicians that are talking about major property tax changes, but that is not just a homeowner conversation. This is a school funding conversation. This is a local service conversation, because what is happening to our neighborhood schools when the math changes? We're seeing the impacts now. And meanwhile, while this is happening, we're also going to be defunding the police. And I find that after all the conversations as it relates to policing and all of that, that in this proposal, this is going to impact those services too. Hello. So it's important that we are aware of the conversations. And again, they're going to be on the Florida channel starting on Monday. So I'm going to be providing updates. And for those that are in the Patreon, you'll get more access to the different things that I'm studying and researching as it relates to the data. But it's so important that you are aware of this, because it's going to impact you. And I'm not against affordability, because people are hurting, y'all. The messages that I get on a daily basis with things that are happening, y'all, folks are struggling. But the plan that's being sold as relief, we got to go to the fine print. Because if the affordability plan destabilizes public schools, which is what is happening, schools are being destabilized, then someone needs to show the math, because the math ain't mathing, and we can't continue to have these slogans because they do not fund classrooms. So again, in the middle of these policy fights, I just want to pause and ask the question, how are the children? How are the children? Huh? Do y'all know? Well, I'm seeing this stuff on Snapchat and TikTok and Yik Yak and Omegle, and the list goes on and on of the different apps that are out there that our children are on. And let's not even get started with these AI tools, which I'm going to tell you about in just a moment. But in the middle of all of this, I want you to ask, how are the children? Because school is out. And shout out to the community leaders, the organizers, the churches, the nonprofits, the mentors, and the everyday adults who are creating safe spaces for children to create, to explore, to learn, and to be covered while school is out. Because our children need more than policy, they need people. And while we're talking about children, we also need to deal with the fine print as it relates to the bigger issue that's happening. And it's these cell phones and it's these school policies that are trying to make schools phone free, which I have a lot to say about that, obviously. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that we can go and talk about it, because I think it's very, very important as we try to level set cell phone addiction and people being addicted to cell phones, not just children, adults, but then also the push for the bell-to-bell phone bans in K through 12 schools that's gaining serious momentum worldwide, nationwide. Okay. The Education Week reports that there are at least 37 states that now limit cell phone use during the day. There's 37 states that have some type of limit to cell phone use. And there's 28 states that have bell-to-bell bans, okay? Meaning that from when you get to the schoolhouse, you should not have your phone. And when you leave the schoolhouse, then that's when you could use your phone. When it starts with instruction, your phone needs to be put away and not to be brought out. And there's so many issues that happens with that. And I want to ask you in the comments, if you're in one of those states with these phone policies, I want to know if it's working, because the last viral case with the Hillsborough County schools, where the teacher had the doll hanging in the classroom, if it wasn't for the students that pulled out their phones to document and to capture what happened, I don't I don't know. I don't know what would have happened in that particular case. And that's why I'm like, I understand the argument that children need to focus and children need to have less distractions and less dependency on devices and having more face-to-face instruction. Please understand, I get it. Understand that as an educator, but also on the other hand, as a digital safety expert, as a digital strategist, we also live in a world where documentation is the only thing standing between denial and accountability. Okay. So this is something that we cannot ignore. So the real question is not just should phones be banned. The real question is, how do schools protect focus without shutting down transparency? And the same device that distracts a child can also document the truth. And there is a fine print in that tension. And so I want to play this video as it relates to studies that have been done, as it relates to the different states that have these phone-free school policies. And again, the question is it working? So let's go ahead and play the clip.
A new report finds school cell phone bans might have mixed results. It finds locking the devices in pouches from a company called Yonder reduces their use. But this same report shows close to hardly any gain in terms of academic performance and no change in attendance or perceived online bullying. The paper says student suspensions went up right after the bans, but goes on to say that the school cell phone bans can have positive long-term effects on well-being.
Shut up!
I have no idea for how long I was muted. I have no idea. But as much as I love teddy bears, the fact that there's an AI tool in the teddy bear is wild. And when I saw it, I was like, I need to show y'all. So let's go ahead and roll the clip.
This morning, new warnings about toys that contain AI chatbots. This might look like a cute plush doll, but sales of Kuma Teddy have now been suspended after researchers found the bear openly discussed sexually explicit and dangerous content with kids, including how to light a match.
Hold the matchbox with one hand.
When prompted, the bear also telling them where to find a variety of potentially dangerous objects, including knives, pills, matches, and plastic bags. The bear, which sold for $99 online, integrates OpenAI's chatbot.
We just have no idea what these AI toys are going to do to a child's development and to their mental health. And so unless you want your child to be part of this experiment, we recommend that you avoid AI toys for now.
It comes as lawmakers grapple with how to regulate the AI industry. The website Politico reports the White House is now planning an executive order aimed at blocking states from issuing their own regulations to prevent a patchwork of state rules that could hamper innovation. Congress has also considered a similar action. One state lawmaker in Pennsylvania outraged, saying Washington is again attacking state sovereignty. Meanwhile, on Wall Street,
You're seeing an exponential growth of adoption and use of AI, and the number of applications that are going to be using these AI is also growing.
stocks higher overnight after AI chipmaker Nvidia exceeded expectations, reporting a stunning 65% jump in quarterly profits over last year, appearing to calm investors' fears of a so-called AI bubble bursting. As for that AI teddy bear, the company has taken its AI-enabled toys off the market for a safety audit. If you want to buy your child an AI-enabled toy, experts recommend buying it from a reliable source and shopping for it in person so you can try it out.
A teddy bear. A teddy bear that was instructing children to cause harm. During one of my Power Walk episodes, and let me take this off the screen for just a moment so that you can hear me and see me good when I talk about this. In one of my Power Walk episodes, I talked about an incident that happened in Florida where a teen was using the tool Character AI. This teen is no longer with us because of the discussion that they had with that chatbot. The mother of that teen has been using her voice to alert parents and caregivers of the situation and suggest to parents to be aware of what your children are doing online and some of the warning signs that you might be able to see as a result of that. And it's so many chatbot applications that our children are using. So I am preparing a presentation in a very similar format to the Teen Takeover presentation to share with you the most popular AI apps and the links to the parental control so that you can be aware when you are giving your child a cell phone what they're downloading. Because I'm telling you folks, there was a online safety company that published a very alarming report as it relates to mental health. And our children are using these chatbots for mental health support. And it is a problem. I want to go ahead and play a clip from CBS Miami where researchers are warning how these AI chatbots are posing a growing mental health concern as it relates to our kids, which is something that we've been talking about for some time now. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that you can see.
We do have a safety alert this morning that all parents need to hear. So researchers are suggesting problematic chatbot use is a new mental health risk that should be screened by doctors.
So some of our findings, especially among children, they are disturbing. In some cases, chats have led to suicide, perhaps. Austin Carter, he's digging into the chatbot conversation concerns and how you could prevent a tragedy at home. Austin.
Yeah, Betty, I've been pouring through recent studies and data to keep you and your family safe. Now, we found that not only are young people talking to AI more, in some cases, they actually prefer talking to it over a real person. Online safety company Aura found nearly half of U.S. kids use AI for companionship. Their data found more than a third of those chats turn violent. And this includes conversations depicting fighting, torture, and even killing. Aura also found chatbot discussions about sex or romance is 3 times as common as asking for help with homework. Now, there's some signs that your child could be misusing AI chatbots. This includes treating AI like a friend and compulsively messaging with those chatbots. One of the biggest signs to look for is an increase of isolation and irritability.
So it's more appealing to them because it's safer. So now we're seeing more and more kids going to that. And then now that's perpetuating this isolation in real life because they're, again, filling that gap.
Some researchers say by this year, a digital detox could cost parents more than college prep for their kid. So this trend of this detox, it's taking off now with screen-free camps and retreats. But experts are really concerned that this will only be a Band-Aid and not a long-term solution.
We have schools that are adopting their own AI policies, and I want y'all to understand, whether you like it or not, AI is not going away. And while we are pushing for regulation, we also have to be intentional with the fine print, just like with these social media policies and using the cell phone policies in our classrooms. Because the sale pitch is technology is our future, but the fine print actually says that too much screen time is impacting children's focus, their learning, and their mental health. And meanwhile, I want to uplift, when we talk about performance, our children are performing better than they were 10 years ago. So there is a problem, and we, all of us, have to make intentional efforts to solve the problem, and how you show up is going to be your choice in the matter. But I'm here to say that AI is not going to go away. Data centers are continuing to pop up everywhere. And I just recently reported and shared on my page that not only is there going to be data centers all over, but now they're looking into putting data centers into homes. And I just want you to think about the different companies that are out here that own all these homes that could put data centers in them and then rent them out to people for them to live in. There's so many possibilities that could happen with that, just with the technology and the things that are being pushed out. So I need y'all to be aware of how technology is evolving and how it's impacting us and our children. And I need you to check these chatbots and the conversations and the things that are happening within them, because our children are getting hurt in that process. And like I said, I've reported on different cases in the state of Florida and beyond where it is hurting our children. So I want to uplift and to remind the people that are watching live and that are watching a replay or the clips that will be posted of this later, that is important that you don't stop at the headline, that you read the fine print, but also go to the source. With all the technology and all the information that we have out here, The spreading of misinformation and disinformation is so dangerous, particularly as it relates to the information that's being shared about policy and the information that's being shared about movements and things of that nature. So please, please read the fine print, read the budget summaries, read what's missing, read the promise, but also read the conditions. Some of us don't read the terms and conditions. We just click accept and move forward, but it's important to know what those terms are and what you're agreeing to. Read the headline, yes, but also ask who benefits once the details kick in. So if you are a parent, an educator, a student, a coach, a counselor, or just a taxpayer that is tired of being played with polished language and messy outcomes, this is your reminder to do not stop at the headline, read the fine print, ask questions, demand public receipts, because people lie, receipts don't. And meanwhile, as adults are arguing over systems and policy, our children are struggling to read. The data is clear, folks. So we need to get rid of tools like iReady. Clearly, that's not working if we're talking about the performance. There are so many tech tools that are out here, folks, that we need to be intentional with, because the data, folks, the data, it's real, and we have to be very intentional with it. I don't know how else to say it. And voting alone is not solving all of this, by the way. And I had conversations with people being like, okay, so all we need is 2 years to have an administrative change, and then everything is going to be fine. I'm here to tell you, I'm not trying to give you false hope, but the system is not sustainable, and it hasn't been. And if you're reading some of the reports are saying that the US is pretty much insolvent.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Mm-hmm. So it's important. I got some updates to provide y'all as it relates to the viral video situation in the accountability tour. And I am going to do that separately so that I could clip it and that I can use it in a different way. But what I don't want to happen, and this is what I am just being vulnerable and sharing in real time in the moment, I have a very, very bad feeling that when all these headlines go away about this baby doll situation, that there's not going to be real conversations that are transformative as it relates to what happened and what happens next. I do think that the conversations now are going to die down, and the mom fighting for accountability and the other parents fighting for accountability are not going to get the support that they need to bring this across the finish line. And what that finish line looks like for them, I don't know. But I did have several conversations with Nina, the mom, and they are exploring legal options as it relates to holding Miss Savage accountable. And what way and what angle they are attempting to do that, I don't necessarily know, nor do I know the actual attorney of record. All I know was that the National NAACP and the Hillsborough NAACP were supposed to collaborate on the matter and to provide legal representation, and that's based on the information that I received. However, I don't know who's the attorney of record, if anything was filed, or any of that information is publicly available. So when it is publicly available and when I get the receipts, I'll be sure to let you know. And I also want to let you know, because there's conversations as it relates to Karen Savage and that GoFundMe account that was sent to me. I'm here to let you know and to remind y'all that in the comments, I provide updates as things are happening to the things that I post. And in the comment section, I did let y'all know that a surveillance camera did reach out to me with a message from Karen Savage. Karen Savage wanted me to know that they spoke with their attorney, and their attorney said that it was okay to have a third party reach out to me on her behalf so that she could let me know that she did not create that GoFundMe page. So for the people that are spreading the narratives that she created this GoFundMe page, I'm here to just clear the record to say she has said that she didn't. And for GoFundMe, we're holding you accountable, because how are people able to create GoFundMe accounts on other people's name and identity, and there's no verification process as it relates to that. It's so much to that as well, but as I get more information, I'll let you know. Also, in the accountability tour, I was asking for accountability for the Hillsborough NAACP in particular. I'm talking about 3 people. I am talking about Yvette Lewis, who is the president, Joe Robinson, who is no longer an officer. So again, Joe Robinson, and Cato Nord Hodges, who has been serving in communications and takes photos and posts on behalf of the organization on the website. And I know that he's been doing that work because when I requested the metadata of what he's been doing on school time, he's been doing the Hillsborough NAACP work during school time when he's supposed to be educating our children. So again, I got the receipts. I've been talking about this, and I'm just asking for accountability. For me, it's an apology. Please apologize for the way that you've secured my records and disseminated that on a fake Facebook page, and providing legal correspondence that wasn't public record on this fake Facebook page that is continuing to harass and to cyber stalk and to cause controversy. And I hope people are held accountable for all of that. And so that is what I'm asking. I don't think that I'm asking for too much, asking for accountability, but y'all let me know, because clearly there's some people who have some opinions as it relates to how I'm approaching the matter, but I've been trying to resolve this for quite some time. And I did actually talk to Yvette Lewis once I identified who I was. She just held on the phone and didn't want to speak to me anymore after that. So I'm making every effort to handle the situation off the internet, but it appears that I need to amplify it in more ways, because I am demanding accountability for me being doxxed and my personal information being disseminated. And the question is, what was the intention of that? For what? When I'm advocating for children and advocating that the 7th largest school district has the most underperforming schools in the state of Florida, and over 73% of our children are not proficient in reading. If that is not setting off alarm bells for you, I don't know what is. But this is why all the politics are happening in Tampa, why all of these things are happening with Hillsborough being the 7th largest school district in the nation, being the 3rd largest in the state of Florida, and with all the infrastructure and changes that are happening in the Tampa Bay area. For those folks that live there, I hope that you buckle up and pay attention, because I'm telling you, the things that are happening are wild, and you need to be aware of your policymakers and the people that are making decisions. The last thing that I'm going to end you with in this episode is a story and a message from Ella. Ella has a very important message to share with all community members. I saw this campaign and I was compelled to share it because it is so important what we do on the internet, as I've shared articles and news of things that have happened as a result to technology and how we need to be intentional with what access we give our children. This message from Ella definitely made me very emotional, and I just want to be transparent and to share that with you now. So let me go ahead and add Ella to the screen, because she has a message for us all.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me. Just a bit older. Amazing what technology can do these days, isn't it? All you need are a couple of pictures, like the ones you share on social media, where they can be taken and used by everybody. I know for you, these pictures are just memories. But for others, they are data. And for me, Maybe the beginning of a horrible future. A future where my identity can be stolen just like that. Where I can go to prison for things that I would never do. Imagine my credit score being destroyed, Dad. Or my voice copied to scam you, Mom.
Mom, I'm in trouble. I need you to send me money, please.
I don't want to become a meme, humiliated by everyone at school.
Kill yourself, you fucking loser.
And I certainly don't want this. What you share online is like a digital footprint that will follow me around for the rest of my life. I'm telling you this because I know you love me and would never do anything to harm me. So please, Mom, please, Dad, protect my virtual privacy.
This is so compelling for people to understand that what you do on the internet lives forever. And I am sharing this as I've had to be held accountable for the things that I have said and the things that I have done on the internet. And so will you, and so will our children, and so will the people that are out here targeting our children. There are spaces on the internet that exist where children are being harmed from even simple games such as Roblox. I need parents to be very intentional with the information that you are sharing about your child, the access that you are giving your child, and listening to this very important message. Folks, the stuff that's out here is wild. And as someone who has worked in technology, building websites, and being in a IT space for years, the problem is only going to escalate, and it's because of the speed of AI and what is being developed in the process. So I am asking you to go to the source and to get the fine print, read the fine print, and to understand, because children are downloading applications and they are giving things away, access that they shouldn't, all the way down to sharing passwords to apps where children are being held accountable for things that they didn't do because they shared the password. And I've documented several stories as it relates to that happening. So in today's episode, I want to continue to uplift going to the source, but also reading the fine print, because there's a lot of conversation as it relates to the budget, a lot of conversation as it relates to what relief looks like as it relates to property tax. And the question that I'm always going to ask is, how are the children? Well, I'll tell you the things that are happening on the internet, and I hope that you check and see, but also look at these AI tools too, because it's important. I have so much more to share, but I want to honor time. And again, with the fire alarm and all the different things going on, I was tardy and late. So please give me grace, and I thank you for that. But yeah, I will see you on the next episode of Morning Tea and Allegations, because there's a lot to discuss and talk about. But in the meantime, make sure that you are following the journey on Teaching for the Culture, that you are following me personally on BiancaGoolsby.com, that you are following the work that we're doing and all of the different community partners that are aligned in this work, because our children deserve better. And ultimately, like I always say, people lie, receipts don't. So this is why it's important to go to the source, get your receipts, and making sure that you read the fine print. Until next time, peace.